I would leave them, it just felt trash, you know what I mean? Not being able to like have things that I really wanted, you know what I mean? So whenever I seen them, it was just, I go over to their house and I felt like home, you know? Like I eat with them, you know, I have a good time with them, laugh with them, joke with them, watch lectures with them, you know? Felt like real family, bro. So yeah, I was like, I met them at a time where I was going through drug addiction. And I remember like even still being with them when I was like going to Access Healing Center too, you know? So I remember learning a lot about this right here. And when I began to learn about this, I know it's like something that, you know what I mean, this is demonized. This right here is demonized. But every symbol means something, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's not something that like a regular person would comprehend, especially when they, you know, are stuck, you know, believing whatever their parents or their teachers taught them when they're kids, you know? But this right here, you know, I read a lot of stuff. It's like this book, it's called like Book of Wisdom. And this Book of Wisdom, I began like reading it a lot because it popped up on my YouTube channel. When I read it, it just made so much sense. I don't even know how to explain it. But when it was making so much sense, I was like, damn. So I began to implement some of the practices that I would learn. And then I ain't gonna lie, I began like, it was cool. It's like I was alone a lot. Didn't really have much people around my circle. But then it's like one night, bro, a lot of things changed. Like I played this one video, and then the minute I played this one video, I did a prayer with it. And then for some reason, everything that I wanted began to start showing up. Like it started popping up. It felt completely odd at the time. But I later found out that most of that family was like, they were like Freemasons, you know? And there's like different schools for it, different levels in it, you know what I mean? There's like 33rd degree Freemasons and a lot of stuff like that. So all the videos on my YouTube channel were just about Freemasonry, you know what I mean? And I ain't gonna lie, like the words aren't, so the people that hate about it, right? They just like talk a lot of shit, like Hantar, just talk a lot of shit, you know what I mean? People talk the most shit about the things that they're scared about, you know? But whenever like somebody calls you like shaitan or stuff like that, it's just another way of them saying like, hey, I'm gonna categorize you as the devil, so when I'm stealing from you, it doesn't, like, I'm telling my own consciousness that it's okay if I steal from you. That's all it is. That's all it is. So when somebody claims that, hey, this person is the devil, this person is XYZ, right? It's just their perception on you, right? Based on what you have, whether you have amulets, whether you believe something totally different. But in the meantime, a lot of the people that I was a client as, they decided to, especially like the Somali treatment centers, they decided to categorize me as the devil, right? So when they steal from me, at the end of the day, they're like, oh, no, it doesn't matter. God doesn't like this person. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we're not going to get demonized for what we believe in. Where in your Quran, where in whatever you believe in says to take from someone just because of what they believe in? You get what I mean? And on top of that, you're like a treatment center. On top of that, you're like a government entity. And on top of that, you're supposed to be equal. You're supposed to be fair. You're not supposed to be forcing, you know what I mean? Like, it's a cultural place. And I understand the faith-based practice is something too, but you can't force faith on anybody, you know what I mean? And on top of that, if they're not the same faith as you, why do you have to force a faith that goes against the cultural practices, the East African cultural practices that you even set up a treatment center for? What if you guys had people that weren't Muslim? What if you guys had people that weren't a certain religion? Does that give you the right to steal from their insurance and bill? Does that give you the right to ostracize that person even though they came here to get sober? You know? So it's like, the thing is, it's like, okay, if you're in America or anywhere in the world, but you have a business that's related to mental health and helping people, right? But then you're not comfortable with what they believe in, right? And then you're like, okay, if this person doesn't believe what we believe, then we're going to make them a complete enemy, you know? That's the perception. So it's not the fact that you stole from me based on me. You stole from me because you believe that your God said that I wasn't worthy of helping. You get what I mean? The reason why a lot of these companies are Somali, or the reason why a lot of these companies that are under investigation are Muslim-based companies, it's not their faith that made them do that. It's just a misinterpretation. Yeah, it's just a misinterpretation of it. So if you're already misinterpreting someone, right, because they finally reached a higher level of consciousness, right, and they're just like, yo, I don't have to tiptoe around you just to make my voice be heard, you know? I just have to see the way that you're treating me and align that with the rules and regulations that you set your business up for. And once you do that, that's when they begin to demonize you. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So how can you have an East African cultural business, right, over in America, right, aka over in Minnesota, right? You have a cultural-based treatment center, and you say that you push a certain faith. Have different faiths, right? And then, especially like from my experience, like in Minnesota, you have East African culturally based businesses, but they make videos, and when they go to the public, they say, hey, this is faith based. So is it cultural based, or is it faith based, or is it both? And if it's faith based, do you or a mental health practice, right? That's cultural based, not faith based, cultural based. But they tell the community that they're faith based in order to get more clients to get into the door. So when they get into the door, are you teaching everybody in here how to join your faith? Or are you leading by example on how to run your business in the right way? So I personally believe that all faith-based businesses in Minnesota that claim that they're East African and Muslim based, I believe those should be the first ones to be investigated, which they are right now. Because how can you add your religion and then on top of that add cultural? So when someone doesn't believe the same religion that you believe or as strong as you believe, you begin to play God in their life. You're like, nah, this person doesn't deserve this. Nah, this person doesn't deserve that. Nah, this person doesn't deserve this. Just because on what you see. But what if what you see is just what you want to see? What if what you see is not the truth, but it's your truth? What if what you see is just based on your self-limiting beliefs? You get what I mean? So I personally went to East African culturally based treatment center, and I realized that, okay, if everybody in here is the same faith, right? Okay, you guys are the same faith. But why are you guys pushing your faith when in reality you guys are viewing people on a cultural basis? So there's a huge divide here. The people that understand me, they're gonna understand what I'm saying. They're gonna say, okay, I totally get what you mean. Nah, I don't. Nah, I don't know where Mandera County is. Where's that at? I know it's in Kenya for sure, but I don't know exactly where. Familiar with Kenya map? Yes, Mandera County is not that far away from where I'm at. So like I said, America, right? Let's say you have a Somali Christian that just walks into your door, right? Let's just say that, right? Let's just say, for example, right? For this example, you have a Somali Christian that's going through sobriety and came to an East African treatment center in order to be around their people, and on top of that, get sober. The first thing was be sober, right? Let's just say that. And let's just say that everybody that runs the place is a Muslim place, right? Okay. Let's say that the people were cool, they were good to the person and all that, but deep down they hated that person because they realized that their religious text shames these people. So as much as you run this business, as much as you care about this person, as much as you realize that they're always happy or you meet them, right? Does that mean that you can treat them a certain way just because of their faith? Thank you so much for the like. Does that mean that you can treat them a certain... What if a Somali Christian came as a client to this place? What if a Somali Buddhist came as a client to a Muslim treatment center? But it brands itself as an East African treatment center, right? So are you just gonna be picking and choosing who gets to show up for their recovery? You get what I mean? Bro, the thing about... Somebody texted me, do you believe Illuminati? The thing is, I don't care how you view it. Illuminati is just enlightening yourself to what's really going on. So you're telling me over the last 5 years, you had clients and providers in the state of Minnesota who knew that they were stealing up to $1 billion, but nobody's seen it happen. But everybody's showing up to Friday prayers, though. Christians are showing up to their prayers on Sunday. Who's right and who's wrong? It's not a religious thing. It's a loving thing. It's a knowing yourself thing. It's a valuing yourself thing. You know what I mean? So I only got that way just by learning about how to illuminate yourself, how to learn. Because then I began to realize, like, the same people that were Muslims running this company right here, they weren't treating people with genuine care, love, and respect. They weren't doing that. Now, some people were, and the people that were, I know who they are, right? And I appreciate you. But at the end of the day, you weren't treating people with love and respect because you didn't value the person for who they were. You know what I mean? You just valued them by how much you can get from them, right? You value them by how much you can get from them. And once you reached reached however much money that you wanted to make off your certain clients, that's when you wanted to just kick them to the curb and open the door for another person, right? Yeah. But my thing is this: how can you do that? How can you do that without receiving any kind of karma? How? Because the thing is, whatever you do is going to come right back to you. If you're going to treat clients like shit, there's going to be a day where the government treats you like shit. You know what I mean? So, You have people who are illiterate, right? That are given the keys to run businesses. You know what I mean? And when they have keys to run businesses, like you got haters like, oh, yeah, enjoy yourself, sweetheart. When you got people that don't know how to read, people that don't know how to write, yeah, mala khorikro, mala akhrikro wah. But wili wahda hey kala company furna and I dadka ku caawin. Sidee aad u ogtay sida sharciga, how to believe in the shari, the rules and regulations that you have. So if you don't know how to read, you don't know how to write, and then you have a business and you have people in your care, don't you see the divide? You're gonna pick and choose which client that you're gonna, you know what I mean, put on. You're gonna pick and choose which client that you're gonna laugh at and mock and try to get kicked out. It's just you just playing God with it. Because you realize that if you got the payroll system up, you're gonna do whatever it is that you want to do in order to get whatever it is that you want. Because you already have the keys to the payroll. So that's the type of people that we dealing with right now. That's the kind of people that we dealing with right now. We got people that's hiding behind religion, right? You can even read this in the Quran. Like, you have people that hide behind religion. In order to justify why they steal